So warm greetings. And this morning, the meditation will be on letting go. And one way or the other, letting go is part of Buddhist meditation. And just that in one way or other, it's also part of human life. And even some meditation practices where they don't practice letting go per se, there's a practice of just letting everything be, not let go of anything. Even that involves some letting go, because the reason for that practice of letting all things be, just be with the way things are, is partly because it's so seldom we do that we're often wanting to do things and get involved and fix and get away, and we're not letting things be. So in order to let things be, we have to let go of all the ways that we are not letting ourselves be. So one way or the other, letting go is part and parcel of part and parcel of what this practice is about. And I see a number of comments on the chat here about no sound, no video, but it should be working fine. It's working here on this end, and working now, they say. Okay, so we'll assume that it's going well. So letting go. So one of the aspects of letting go, which I want to emphasize for this meditation, it's not only about letting go of something, letting go of our thoughts. It's also about letting go into. That we let go not because we're trying to not do something, like get rid of something or stop something, but we let go because there's a good place to let go into. That we're letting go of those things which interfere with settling deeply into some place of what comes to mind at this moment is safety, of well-being, of happiness, of intimacy, of groundedness, of wisdom, of compassion. That is also letting go into. And that's the part I'd like to emphasize today. So to take a meditation posture and to take if it works for you, take a posture that expresses some dignity, so that when you do let go, it's not a diminishment of who you are. If anything, it's maybe a filling up, embodying who you are in your full dignity and value. Because in Buddhism, there's a strong emphasis in the dignity and value of each person. And to become an enlightened person, it's said to become a dignified or a noble person. And nobility maybe that we all have in a certain way, or dignity or value. And to take that posture that somehow expresses that, and then to gently close your eyes and take a few moments to let go into your body. Maybe with each breath, to release the ways you're holding your body tight, holding it in a certain way up, away from gravity, rather than sitting upright, relaxed with gravity. And imagine that the surface of your body, all the surfaces, the skin, is a place that you can soften, loosen, open. Make porous without resisting what's around you or within you. That all the surface of who you are, can be put to rest, so you being, your attention, can settle inward to fullness, settling down and letting go into your body breathing. And especially as you exhale, to let go of your thoughts. And as you let go of your thoughts, to let go into the depths of your body breathing. Letting go of your thinking, not to diminish yourself, but to allow yourself to then settle in and feel, experience a greater fullness that maybe can be felt when there is some silence, mental silence with less thinking, a quieter place. Letting go of judgments, letting go of apologies, letting go of criticism, letting go of not being good enough, letting go even of suffering, letting go into the body breathing, into whatever is good or right or satisfying, safe within. what can you let go of? So you can let go into peace. As we come to the end of this sitting, you might consider how you can let go into something valuable within you. It could be letting go into your capacity for attention, letting go into your capacity to listen more carefully to others, more fully, letting go into a place of where you have value and dignity, so that when you do listen and be with other people, they feel there's more goodness, more of you available to be present with them. Let go into a greater capacity for friendliness and compassion and love. Letting go of the fear and reluctance and hesitation to look upon people with kind eyes. Letting go into your kindness, into a place where you're strong. Letting go into being true here. And so that when you meet other people, they can feel a certain strength of kindness, strength of caring attention. They can feel here is a caring person, a friendly person, a safe person, who's not safe because the person is shy or withdrawn, but safe in the midst of a confidence to be in this world for the welfare and happiness of all beings, including oneself. And may it be that as the more we let go, the more we let go into a strength of our positive qualities, a strength of being an example of someone who is upright and dignified, but not conceited or arrogant, who's here definitively to be of benefit for all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be strong. May all beings be dignified. May all beings be free. So, we continue on this topic of the Paramis, and in Sanskrit they're known as Paramitas, and the Sanskrit-derived kind of Mahayana Buddhist traditions have a somewhat different list. They have a list of 6, which is quite famous, and 10, and the Theravada that we're part of has this list of 10 that I'm teaching from. And the third one is usually translated into English as renunciation. And there's a rumor that the topic of renunciation is not a very popular topic for Western Dharma teachers to teach about. And that is a bit of a pity, because I think it's really a fantastic and wonderful virtue, quality to have, the ability for renunciation. And maybe one of the reasons why some people hesitate to teach it, and why some people are even frightened and off-put by the concept of renunciation, is it has a lot of negative connotations of letting go of things that we maybe shouldn't let go of, that somehow in letting go we are becoming less of a person, or we're letting go of things which are valuable parts of life, or things that even we're attached to, or something. I think the word renunciation has a religious origin. I think it literally means to announce again, I believe. And I think it comes from monastic life, of someone who makes a public announcement or a formal announcement that they are now entering into the religious life as a monastic, perhaps. And in that sense, it's almost a sacred act. And so the similar word sacrifice sometimes means painfully giving up something that we don't want to give up. And also, again, kind of a diminishment, or kind of unfortunate to have to sacrifice something. But the original meaning, apparently, of the word in Latin was to make sacrifice, to make sacred. And here we have this religious connotation. So the same thing in the Pali, in the Buddhist word nekkhamma, translated as renunciation, it has a very positive association. And in my reading of the ancient text, the Buddha, it has more to do with what is gained than what is lost. Certainly it is a letting go of something, and it's a shift, but it's also a stepping. When you step into something, you step away from something else. And so the kind of little story I like to say for renunciation, and what we gain in the process of, is that if you go to a winter cabin and get snowed in for the winter, and you're with all your extended family, and it's a one-room cabin, and and probably by the end of the winter, being there all cooped up and the snow is melted enough to open the door, is probably the idea of stepping out into the open air, the mountain air, the extensive pastures might be there by the snows melted or something. It's just a delight and just a wonderful thing to go forth out of the cabin. So the word nekkhamma, one of the etymological understandings of it, is it means to go forth in that kind of way, to leave the dusty confines of a life which is somehow similar, confined maybe to being locked up in a cabin in the winter or something. So the idea that it's a movement towards something beautiful and opening and freedom, and it is a strong association, this idea of renunciation. And and if we associate with letting go, it's what I said earlier. It has to do with also what we let go into. We don't just let go of our clinging, our attachments, our resistance because they're painful. We can also let go because those painful movements of the mind and heart keep us from what is sacred, keep us from what is the best in us, keep us from peace, from happiness, well-being, groundedness, sensitivity, compassion. It keeps us from these beautiful qualities. It keeps us from the other paramis, these virtues, these 10 virtues. And so renunciation, I feel, is more like something that should be really deeply appreciated and valued. And when you think inside, should I renounce something? It's to be let go of now. The if you feel like it makes you less than, or it's a drag to let go, then it's probably not, maybe not so wise to let go, or be careful about what you're doing. The renunciation we're talking about in Buddhism should also make us happy. There should be some degree of joy or opening or feeling of satisfaction or rightness in what we're letting go of. So certainly sometimes we have to let go of things that we want and even things that are valuable for the sake of other people, for the sake of our children if we have kids, or our parents, or neighbors who are sick. And I wouldn't say that we're jumping with joy when we let go of our plans for the day in order to take a neighbor to the emergency room who's sick. But it has hopefully it has a deep feeling of rightness, that if we let go and we're resentful or deeply discouraged or depressed by what we've done, that's very unfortunate. There's a great opportunity in the letting go for if we can let go well and really understand why we're doing it and how we're letting go into what's really best for oneself and for others. So we let go of our plans for the day, maybe unfortunately so, but it feels like everything is better, that we're taking, I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but it just feels so right to take our neighbor to the ER and sit there with them and care for them. And of course, that's the right place to be. So this idea of renunciation as a third parami follows the first two. First is generosity, which is a kind of giving, a giving of something. It is a kind of renunciation, but it's renunciation that's not obligatory. It's done from just an inspiration of generosity. And to feel how sometimes letting go of something as a gift is profoundly beneficial. And here we're beginning to learn the value of letting go, of giving up something. And then the same thing with the restraint involved in sila, of living a life of ethical conduct, behaving in ways that are ethical or wise or don't cause harm. This is also not meant to be something which is a drag, but rather something that frees our integrity, that provides a certain kind of freedom. And the Buddha talked about the bliss or the happiness of sila, happiness of living an ethical life. And to start feeling that restraint, because this sila is a kind of restraint, restraining ourselves from killing, lying, sexual misconduct, stealing, and intoxication. It's not just losing something, it's gaining something in the process. So then we're ready and prepared for renunciation being kind of a continuation of that. But now we're talking about something which is not just behavior, the behavior of generosity, the behavior of restraint, of how we act with our bodies and mouths. But now we're talking about beginning to go inward and talking about renunciation of things that the mind, the heart is holding on to, things that the mind and heart are doing and valuing. And it's a deeper movement of letting go in the mind and heart itself. And with that can come joy, can come something really wonderful, the joy of renunciation, the joy of letting go. And without some letting go of something, there is no Buddhist path. And some people resist that or even are angry that we have to do that. But almost any endeavor that we're serious to do in our life involves letting go, usually like something else, which is also good. If we decide to go get an education in something, we want to do something of service for the world, then it might take all our efforts for a while, and we have to let go of many other things that we're doing that we don't have time to do now when we're engaged in this educational project. Or someone who decides to be a parent. There's a lot of letting go in being a parent. In fact, if a parent doesn't learn to let go, they're probably in trouble. And hopefully the parent can learn to let go, especially in the early years of raising young kids. If they don't learn how to let go in a way that's graceful and brings joy, it can be actually quite, it doesn't, sometimes not very pretty, the frustration, the anger that can come. And so to learn this, we're asked in certain situations to let go, to really, what we're doing, the course we're taking, really requires a lot of us, and we have to let go a lot. I don't know if it's the best example, but like an Olympic athlete, it doesn't have to be Olympic, who just gives themselves all out to this is what they're doing. The other day I was hiking up in the mountains here, and there was, middle of the summer, there was a high school track team that was out running, and it was beautiful to watch these young high school students running in the mountains, and like deer. It was almost like watching them. And there's a joy and delight in maybe the running, as I felt there. But maybe they're doing that instead of other things. So it's the same thing with the Buddhist path, Buddhist practice. It's very, very valuable, and some people really feel committed to it. And it does require some letting go of other good things, even just to meditate every day, or to go and retreat, or to really make it a kind of central focal point of one's life. The degree of renunciation that people do in order to really follow the path of freedom and liberation varies from person to person by their circumstance, their interests, their intentionality, their vision of what's possible. And each of those is valuable, but does require some renunciation, some decision. I'm going to do this and not something else. And I've seen some people who don't understand that, and they're trying to do everything. And they're trying to squeeze in meditation, Buddhist practice, as if, they can have the cake and eat it too, as if they can have everything, and add on top of it enlightenment, or add on top of it the path to freedom or something, or Buddhism. I think that to enter the Buddhist path wisely and beneficially, some degree of renunciation, of careful reflection, wise consideration, and hopefully with a realization that this is actually important, that it's not a diminishment, it's a letting go of other things and letting go into one of the most beautiful and profound and meaningful things a person can do, the path of liberation. And that's what the Buddha did, and the classic understanding of these 10 paramis is that these are the things the Buddha cultivated for many lifetimes to prepare himself to become a Buddha. That these are kind of foundational. And in that kind of mythology, it applies to us as well. There is a time and place to become wise and appreciate deeply and feel the benefits and even the happiness of renunciation. And so you might spend the next 24 hours on this topic of letting go, of giving up, where the word giving is generosity, renunciation, which is maybe doing something sacred, that you would, what's the best possibilities that you know of in renunciation and letting go? What do you gain in the process? How do you benefit? How does the world benefit from your renunciation, your giving up? Why don't you reflect on that and think about it, and think about where you've already done beneficial giving up and renunciation, and what you've learned from that, and how does this apply to following this Buddhist path and meditation path, and in a way that benefits you. Talk to friends, read about it. Spend the next 24 hours kind of building this momentum through the Paramis we're doing these 10 days, and spend time with renunciation. So thank you, and I look forward to our topic tomorrow.